What is up, everybody? I'm Stacy. Wait, no, I'm not. I'm not Stacy Perez, obviously. As you can tell, Stacy, we hope you're watching, and can't wait to get you back on the show next week. I'm Jorge Edwards, creator of Fantasy and Frames. For those who don't know me, who are used to watching the Waiver Wire Watch Party show, welcome to the Watch Party show for Week 9. With me, we got Sharlene Ericson, and we got Jim Bednar. Charlene, how are you doing today?
I've been better.
Okay.
It was kind of a rough week for me.
All right. Jim, what about yourself?
I'm doing well, especially by comparison, apparently. I think it helps if you diversify a little bit over the weekend. So some of your teams do poorly, some do better. You can come out even keeled.
I know exactly what you mean. In the Scott Fishbowl League, I'm in the DC Defenders division. My wife and I are in the same division, and she has been like dominating that division in first place for the entire season. And I was starting off the season in last place. It was atrocious, and you better believe like the trash talking that was coming across the household was fierce. Needless to say, she is not a humble person when it comes to that. But I've rattled off like a few wins in a row now, and now I'm kind of like when I walk by her, I can like now do the smirk of like, I'm coming for you. I'm on my way there. So that was definitely what was going on yesterday. A lot of crazy stuff. Fantasy bye week hell yesterday. We all took some hits. We all had some victories, but I think all you all here are looking forward to next week. Week 9 in particular, we got the Browns, Jets, Eagles, and Bucks all on bye. And of course, being the Waiver Wire Watch Party show today, we are going to be doing some jump-ins here to the Monday Night Football matchup where we got the Commanders at the Chiefs, over under at 48, the second highest actual over under of the week. And you would think by looking at that score, you'd be like, oh, this should be a highly competitive game. Not when the Chiefs are favored by 10.5. So that 48 over under is kind of like, okay, so how many of those points are going to be Chiefs points? And as a Commanders fan, as I'm wearing my Commanders hoodie and I got the game on this monitor, you will see me throughout the night probably sink my head lower and lower into utter dejection. But I digress. Let's be positive. Let's have fun. Let's talk about what's going around the NFL. But before we do that, don't forget to head over to fantasyandframes.com after this show, as well as early tomorrow morning, where we'll be dropping our waiver wire articles for week 9 and our IDP waiver wire articles for week 9. Literally, wake up. You'll see on Twitter. The links will be dropping there and be dropping there all day, as well as head over to our TikTok, head over to our Instagram. Recommendations from this show are going to be on there. Our recommendations from our waiver wire articles are going to be on there. So definitely tune in, check out. We are going to have you definitely covered for all the different players you should be targeting on your waiver wire this week. And let's get into some news and notes. Most recent news. Let's start fresh and work our way backwards. Michael Carter. That was a conversation topic that we were talking on the waiver wire show. You all were talking on the waiver wire show for quite a while. Michael Carter, Bam Knight. Michael Carter, Bam Knight. Charlene, I guess we don't have to worry about this whole Michael Carter situation in Arizona, do we?
Nope. Literally just released, an hour before the show?
Right.
2 hours before the show?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, okay, add to show sheet or make graphic for a show. Good to know. Bam Knight is somebody we'll be talking about definitely going forward. A little bit of defensive news, and then I'm going to get into why that actually matters for people, especially those that were watching the Waiver Wire Watch Party show tonight. Patrick Surtain, the all-star premier cornerback for the Denver Broncos, suffered a pectoral strain injury. He is out minimum 4 to 6 weeks. So you better believe, looking at the Broncos schedule of Texans, Raiders, Chiefs, Commanders, Raiders, Packers during that time span, you better believe that some of those teams are going to be talked about in terms of waiver wire options on the show and other sources here at Fantasy and Frames going forward. So that's just something to keep in mind because Patrick Surtain was really good at shutting down number one wide receivers. So that is something to definitely.
I am concerned.
Yeah, as a Broncos fan, I would imagine. As a
Broncos fan, I am concerned.
No, absolutely. That it was National Tight End Day yesterday, but let's
excuse me. Sorry. It is weak.
No, that's where exactly I was going with
Okay,
that.
I just wanted this
no.
game left to play.
No, I have
All
it
right.
written here in bold letters. Like, and yes, I'm one of those people who like we have a digital show sheet for those who are behind the scenes wanting to, see the behind the curtain. I write all my notes down on a piece of paper. So those who are hearing the ruffling of pages throughout the show, that's me. That's this guy. But yeah, it was technically the day, but let's call it the week. We had Aranda Gadsden continue his dominant young performances this past Thursday against the Vikings. Dallas Goedert scored a couple touchdowns. Harold Cannon and David Njoku each got a score. Tucker Kraft, as Stacy likes to call him, Kraft mac and cheese.
Yeah,
as
we all do.
Yeah, do we all do that? I don't know if that's necessarily an all thing here. We got Sean in the chat, not a tight end, but Myles Garrett for IDP managers. Definitely went
Had himself a day.
Had himself a day with 5 sacks. Moggs is in the chat. Mog with welcome back. Kraft went crazy. We should all do that. Call him Tucker Kraft mac and cheese. Stacy Press.
Yes, Stacy.
All that's another strong word. We should all do that. We'll see. Tongas, the 49ers tight end, vulturing the touchdown from George Kittle.
He sure did. I saw that and went, wait, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I was happy either way, but like
likes to share the love.
Or Tongas is a dick. So one of the two, and it's like literally right in front of him. It was. That was a move. But George Kittle did all right for fantasy manager, so I think we can spare Tongas for that one. Some more notes from this past weekend, not tight end related. After failing to crack 50 yards receiving over the past 2 weeks, Roma Dunze, welcome back to the land of the living. 7 receptions of 10 targets for 114 yards and half PPR, 14.9 points. We saw Derrick Henry get resuscitated back to life for fantasy managers. Had his first top 10 finish in half PPR since week 1. It
is about time.
Yeah, that is when you put it like when I was writing it down, I was like, since week 1, damn, that is a long time. And then I start to think, man, this has been a long season so far, and it's just like, man, we're just now getting to like the halfway point. This is ridiculous. Like, how much stress can we keep putting on ourselves? But that's why we do it. We love the stress. We love everything fantasy football related.
Absolutely wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. Sharlene, something that is wild, but also, not good, as when we talk about injuries. When you heard about Cam Scatabo being injured, what was your first?
I didn't have to hear about it. I watched it happen. And I did not need to see the replay that they decided to throw up on the screen anyway. So I was cringing for like an hour after that. I'm heartbroken. I loved the Dart and Bow duo. I was so excited for that. That was crushing.
Yeah,
absolutely crushing.
Jim, how did you take the Scatabo injury news?
I really appreciate that Sharlene pointed out the Dart and Scatabo relationship. But I don't have Scatabo anywhere. So I do have a lot of Tyrone Tracy.
Was that a tease? Did you just tease something, or somebody will be able to talk about a little bit later in the show? Maybe
not on purpose. I mean, it's the truth. I'm sure I did. Yes, I did, but that wasn't my intent.
You just sort of fell into it.
But I think everybody had I shouldn't say everybody. A lot of people felt a very specific way about Scatabo before the season, and you probably, you probably had a couple teams with him, and then like adamantly had a couple with, everybody else had a bunch without. So I'm one of those. I really liked what was going on. It's easy to be a fan of teams that haven't done well recently. So it was kind of cool to see that for New York.
Yeah.
And so that part kind of like, you don't get to see fun stuff anymore. I think players having fun is really cool to watch in the NFL, but from a fantasy football perspective, sorry, everybody, it didn't bother me so much.
Yeah, I agree with that. They were fun to watch, seeing good things happen to Giants. The Giants, not so much. I don't agree with that whatsoever there. But maybe because I'm super biased. In fact, it's because I am super biased. So yeah, just a tad. For those of you who are in the YouTube chat, thank you very much. For those of you who are on X or on Facebook, drop in those comments. Head over to YouTube and while you're there, hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you're notified when Fantasy Frames puts out all of our weekly podcast live streams, our pregame show live streams, our TikTok or our YouTube shorts, all the content we put out there. Trust me, we're not spamming you. We're giving you high quality fantasy football content, and the people here at Fantasy Frames work really hard for that. So we really appreciate your support. And for those who are in the chat, drop in the chat and we'll throw on screen. Who are you sweating tonight to save your matchup, if anybody? I'm Terry McLaurin. Please. I need a good 30 points out of you and Scott Fishbowl. So please, that is all I'm asking for. Just 30 points. That's all I'm asking for. Jim, let's go with you. Is there anybody in tonight's matchup that you are paying attention to for any special reason?
A Travis Kelce touchdown. Any
particular reason why, or just because you're a big Travis Kelce?
There is a particular reason why.
Okay.
A particular financial reason why.
That's a very good reason.
I am one of the biggest celebrators of National Tight End Week as anybody. So
I understand. Sharlene, what about yourself?
I hope you didn't have Jake Ferguson.
Oh my God. Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely could use some Travis Kelce, could use a little Terry McLaurin, could use a little bit of Bill Krosky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, those are good players to
some Mariota, which I have concerns tonight, but I mean I'll take any points from Mariota. Any will do. I only have him in a 2-quarterback dynasty where I started out the season with Brock Purdy as my only starting quarterback and the rest were all backups.
Right.
So I've been running with backups up and down all season and somehow I'm still in like 4th place. So
yeah. I mean, that's a testament to your fantasy football management skills right there. As far as Mariota is concerned, that's probably the nicest way to describe him in his situation. Although, did you all know that the last time he was at Arrowhead as the starting quarterback was that playoff game where he batted the ball to himself and ran it in for a touchdown, and where the Titans upset the Kansas City Chiefs? I want to say it was back in 2018, 2017. Does anybody remember that one?
I do not remember that. That sounds familiar.
It made SportsCenter top 10 back when they had top 10. Do they still have top 10? I don't know. Actually, to be honest with you, I haven't watched SportsCenter in forever.
Yeah, I don't know.
Moggs is in the chat. Screw fantasy football culture wise. I'm heartbroken about Scat. Look, it was very good, very refreshing for me as a fan of football to hear about how these guys just rolled up in the camp and they're like, you know what? Yeah, apparently losing's been a thing here, but we don't care. We're going to do our thing and we're going to have fun doing it. And as a veteran, I could see how that could be, seen as the wrong thing to say. It's like, well, what are you trying to say? We're a bunch of losers and you're here to fix the day. And at the same time, it's a refreshing twist where it's like, you know what? Yeah, the past is the past. Let's have some fun with it and have some good times playing football. So, yeah, I'm with you there, Moggs there. And I think we all are. We got Moggs in the chat. Marks and Henry as a couple players who went off for him this past week. That is definitely true. And yeah, man, just a lot of crazy stuff in bye week hell. But we definitely are going to hold on. Self-destruct Scatterbo. So for those who don't know this reference, on the Sunday morning pregame show with Andy Behrens and Nate Markham, one of the things that Andy Behrens would say, especially when Cam Scatterbo was starting to take off before that Philadelphia game, was like, I really like Cam Scatterbo. The only thing is I wish he wouldn't like nuclear destruct on somebody as he's hitting them, getting that extra first down or getting that extra yard. So that is definitely a good reference. Good pull there, Moggs. All right, folks, let's talk about a little about, who is our hero and who is our zero, for so to speak, for week number 8. And of course, in the chat, who helped you and who hurt you. Put that stuff in there. We'll throw it up on screen. For me, it was Brees Hall. He was my hero. Cue the Foo Fighters. I was all about that. I was all about that touchdown. And you want to talk about the touchdown pass that he threw? Like back corner of the end zone. He had no business throwing that ball. And Mason Taylor just grabbed it like with finesse, with fingertips, literally standing in the as close to the corner of the end zone as you can get. Just the icing, the cherry on top of the sundae. It was fantastic. The sundae that doesn't have a cherry, doesn't have whipped cream, doesn't have like hot fudge or any toppings, it's just expired ice cream, was Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson was the expired ice cream for my fantasy teams, literally doing absolutely nothing. What about you, Jim? Who was a hero for you and who was a zero?
Before I answer that, I actually would I want to point out that Kyle in his Plays and Fades week article last week did have Jake Ferguson as a fade, so I just wanted to shout him out for that.
Very nice.
Hard hitting analysis you can get from Kyle once a week on Thursdays. There was actually it was a weird week because there were so few awesome performances, but they were awesome. I kind of I'm going to take this opportunity to promote my own self. Joe Flacco as a hero. Got to write about him the last 2 weeks on my waiver article. Can't write about him anymore. He's 63% rostered, but you should still go look for him. He's just killing it, and it's awesome to see. Like, it's not a new story, but gunslingers go into teams, and I think he's got. Surely he has the best receiver he's ever had, and he knows it. Probably the best thing about better QBs. And then as a zero, just to bring myself back to earth, Andy Dalton, who I also said that everybody should pick up. I did, in my defense, just say, hey, here's a body you could throw in, and that's really all he was. If you are a Ted McMillan owner, you like Andy Dalton. If you're anybody else on the Panthers owner, sorry.
Yeah, there was some talk. There was some Xavier Legette talk going around the Twitter water cooler here about he's been he's shown signs of life. Maybe having Andy Dalton would do something good. Nope, not one bit.
Nope.
Mog's in the chat saying Jonathan effing Taylor. Yeah, it's hard to beat JT when it comes to the hero. Sharlene, who is your hero? Who is your zero for week 8?
So one of my heroes for week 8 was Saquon. It's about damn time, Barkley.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back. I needed that. Yeah, it's been rough. In all my leagues, I have all these top running backs like Saquon and Derrick Henry, and I'm like, where are you guys? what are we doing here? So this was the week for both of them. They both finally showed up, so that was nice. I really appreciated that. Yeah.
Yeah. Who is your zero there?
So I wrote in our show sheet this week to take your pick because I had Jake Ferguson, I had Bijan, I had QJ, I had Quinshon Judkins. I mean, to be fair, Judkins went out with an injury, so
yeah, we'll
give him a pass.
Right. Yeah.
But it was a little rough.
It was a little rough, but especially, the CD Lamb managers probably were hoping for a little bit of a better outcome. You as a Broncos fan could care less about the CD Lamb managers, to be honest, probably.
Right. I mean, I have CD Lamb and I still was like, I don't care.
Team loyalty over everything.
Yep.
Sean in the Facebook chat says, where is this weekly article I can find? You can find all of our weekly articles over at fantasyandframes.com. Our waiver wire articles for both offense and then for IDP will be live tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. And then our plays and fades and our IDP plays and fades are posted on Thursday mornings by 8 a.m. Eastern. And then we have an article series called Fantasy Football Trends of the Week. And we kind of examine 5 data points that are kind of important for fantasy managers and to get an idea of where your players are going or players that you maybe be wanting to go out and acquire before we start getting into things like playoff discussions and trade deadlines. And I'm not even ready for all that yet, folks. I don't know about you, Charlene, but playoffs, I'm not ready to talk about playoffs just yet.
Exactly.
Your Mog's in the chat crying for Baker Mayfield. Yeah, that was something. Then he said McCaffrey with the stumble this week. And we got Epic Fail in the chat. So for the longest time, for those who don't know, Epic Fail has been just one of the newcomers here in the chats here at Fantasy and Frames this season. And it took until like week 5 on Shoot the Gap, our IDP fantasy football podcast, for us to finally realize it was Epic Fail, because for the longest time up until week 5, we were like, hey, what's up, 3P, 1C Fail? How's it going? Eventually, one of these days, we got to ask you what this all means. And then finally week 5 came along and it's like, all right, let's just stop what we're doing. Right. And, and let's just ask him what it is. And as soon as he said Epic Fail, it was like, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then everyone else we told this story to, they're all like, are you serious? You did not put together that was Epic Fail? So apparently we're idiots. So there you go. So welcome to the show on that note, Epic Fail. He has an IDP question. Would you drop Carl Granderson for Chase Young? Chase Young may be discussed in the IDP waiver wire article, which you can find at fantasyandframes.com tomorrow. Or you may not. I guess we'll have to find out tomorrow to find out.
So
Look, peek behind the curtain. Stacy is very methodical with her notes and show sheets of how things are ran, and nowhere here does it say IDP discussion. So you know what? That is one.
Yeah, we don't usually get IDP questions.
Stacy said we can't answer.
Stacy said screw IDP, to which I'm like, whoa, easy with the language. No, come on, IDP is a very awesome part of fantasy football. IDP is fun. Thank you. IDP is fun.
Except for the Shoot the Gap League where I'm 0-7. That's not fun. That is not fun.
We still appreciate you signing on and joining to the listener league for Shoot the Gap, regardless. I hope, hopefully it turns around for you as the season goes on. Because I believe you kicked my butt in last year's league, whatever.
Yeah,
we did face
and
each
this
other.
year is not going like last year. I don't know what's happening, but yeah, it's the complete opposite.
I may or may not have circled on a calendar. This week I'm taking on Sharlene. This week I'm taking on Sharlene. And in big, bold, like marker letters, revenge, vindication from last year.
Hopefully I can turn my team around before that happens.
Exactly. Checking in here with Monday Night Football here. The Commanders already had the first series. A lot of Mariota runs. Shocker. Now the Chiefs have the ball. It is 9:03, depending on where you are watching in terms of the clock time in the first quarter. And of course, everybody's streaming nowadays. And so what I'm saying is 9:03 is probably 7 minutes into the game or 10 minutes into the game, wherever you are. Either way,
so behind.
It's 0-0. And Chiefs have the ball.
Just got a sack.
Yes, they did. I just saw that.
How about that?
How about that? I'll take that all day. Let's see. We got a comment here. Tua. Yes, Tua definitely came out of nowhere last week. Yesterday. That was definitely something that was not expected.
With a swollen eye.
Oh my
God.
God.
Apparently he just needs to only see out of one eye.
No,
is that the trick?
Yeah. Who knew that getting pink eye the morning of a game was the trick to having him perform so well? I don't know if that's actually what happened, but
yeah,
it sounds
like, oh God.
That's the only thing I know about that could cause the eye to get swollen, but whatever. By the way, that was Jacob Martin who got the sack on Patrick Mahomes, who's somebody that I wrote about in the IDP waiver wire article last week. Just somebody to pay attention to going forward. Stacey asked in the chat, how many points does that Mahomes sack get you? So it depends on where your league settings for IDP. There is no default IDP setting. I only play in leagues where there are 5 points or more. So we'll call that 5. But I digress. Let's get into some talk here about players that we are, players that are on the rise, so to speak, in terms of roles on teams, whether it's snaps, whether it's, efficiency, you name it. Let's get into a couple players here, and let's get into one that really surprised a lot of people yesterday. So from the ashes of preseason hype, RJ Harvey just went absolutely nuts for the Denver Broncos. For your Denver Broncos, Sharlene.
I was loving that.
The jerseys are already on special order, rush delivery.
I don't buy a lot of rookie jerseys, but I think I might have to.
Yeah. You know what? As a Commanders fan, any butt whooping that's placed on the Cowboys already makes me a fan of that said player.
Oh, well, I also was raised a Niner fan, so I was raised to hate the Cowboys and hate the Raiders. So it was like a double whammy for me.
That is awesome. That is all. Give me all the Cowboys. Who are the Cowboys fans in this YouTube chat or Facebook chat? Please let me know who you are, so then I can then block you from said show. I'm kidding. I would never do that. That's horrible, Jorge. What am I thinking? We got Isaiah Davis, Jets running back. A lot of talk about Breece Hall being on the trade block. They're on a bye this week. It makes you wonder the timing of Breece Hall having such success. Granted, he can't control who he's facing. The Panthers aren't exactly what we like to say good against the run as far as defending it is concerned. But, if they were going to make a move, if they were going to trade Breece Hall before the trade deadline, showcasing him with the performance he had yesterday and then having him rest for this bye week and seeing the uptick in snaps. I mean, Jim, would you have to say that Isaiah Davis is somebody we should be paying attention to going forward?
Yes, I'd roster him. You're not starting him anytime soon, but he's somebody you can throw on there and sees what happens with Breece Hall. I don't think he's going to replace Breece Hall at quarterback. But
how dare you? You have little faith that the Jets don't run out a running back at quarterback. Don't they do that already with Justin Fields? Isn't he a running back who pretends to be a quarterback? That
I don't.
Or is that a diss? Did I just diss Justin Fields by accident? I'm sorry.
I think I should be okay with that as a not Jets fan, but I think maybe the Jets should be shopping the wrong guy. They should see what they get for Fields and put Breece in under center and just do what Miami did.
Do the Wildcat.
I mean, it worse.
Yeah, exactly. They just only have one win, so maybe they have to shake things up a little bit. Epic Fail asking, any running back injuries you think are serious? Judkins, Barkley, both going into bye. So I was listening to the Joe Dolan on Sirius XM this morning, and they were talking about Saquon Barkley after the game where he suffered a little bit of a groin injury. So how you feeling? What's the situation? Could you have gone back out there? And basically Saquon's like, oh yeah, I could totally have gone out there. And if it was like the game was close or it was a playoff situation where, they needed me out there. To which Joe Dolan, friend of the brand here at Fantasy Frames, went on to say, every player is going to say that, right? Which player is going to be like, nah, too much. I can't handle it. Give Tank Bigsby all my carries for the rest of the season. That being the case, Tank Bigsby, I'm just saying, not. Yeah. We hope for the week that Saquon is able to heal up, but Tank Bigsby is climbing into that handcuff territory, I would think, as we get closer to playoff time.
I would say he's in handcuff territory. I think, given the way that all these players, all the, these wide receiver ones, running back ones, all dropping like flies this season. Every week it's somebody else. Every single week. I think if you have Saquon, I think you need to go pick up Bigsby.
No,
so you don't have to sweat it later.
Are you going to say something, Jorge?
No, I was just going to shift quickly to Judkins, but go ahead for what you're about to say.
Well, I think this begets. Bigsby should be rostered. I think Bigsby should have been rostered. I think it's really easy. We look at the situation that happened with Michael Carter and Bam Knight a few weeks ago, where it's like, take one to see who's going to start or whatever. Those guys are easy to take a stab at. They're easy to remember because they're in front of our brains. But if you look at the running backs, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, right now, honestly, probably Quentin Junkins, guys that have a stranglehold on the job, it's easy to ignore their backup. And I think they should be rostered a lot more higher than they are from a strategy standpoint. Like we could talk about waivers and they're going to be there. You can get these guys for cheap last week. What is Bigsby going to cost you now because you left him unrostered? I know there's shallow leagues. I know there's leagues that have, 14, 16 teams. But if you have a bench, those are the guys that you should own. And I don't think this goes back to preseason strategy, but it doesn't matter if you own Barkley or not. You should be on your roster because if you own him and the Barkley owner loses him, if you're short, you got him. And if you are not short, what's the Barkley owner going to do? So I think Bigsby just kind of, yes, he should be rostered, but he kind of serves as an example of who else could be out there in the league. And I think we're going to talk about a couple more. Who are these guys that own a job now? Jordan Mason last year, for example. Right. I just wanted to throw that out there real quick.
No, that's very. I mean, that there is something to be said for playing the game within the game. Drew Scott over on Fourth and Frames, which you can catch on Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern. One of his things heading into the season, especially during draft time, was like, don't draft your own handcuff, because if you're drafting your own handcuff, you're basically invalidating the pick that you made to begin with. Like, why are you drafting somebody if you're so concerned about their wear and tear or their usage that you need to go draft their handcuff? Draft somebody else's more valuable handcuff, because now you're creating, a trade situation later on in the season if that manager's running back tends to go down. And that applies to waivers as we are, talking about that obviously now. We got a couple comments here in the chat. We got Xavier Hutchinson. Yeah, he came in big. Jaden Higgins, Pat Bryant. Love Pat Bryant. And apparently
that's another jersey I need.
Yeah, right. I mean, coming from Illinois, where they basically run the ball a lot, he did such a great job as a receiver. It was great to see him get his first touchdown. We got Marshawn Lattimore with the pick. That one just missed my eye right there. So yeah, the Commanders are they're doing some stuff. I don't want to say any more because I don't want to jinx it. But thank you very much for the info there. We got Moggs in the chat. I'm still stashing and tooting. Things. ETN has had a good run. Literally, he had a lot of good games earlier in the season, but there is some narrowing of the gap in terms of snaps between those two running backs. So definitely somebody that I would not blame you for stashing going forward. As far as snaps and usage, I want to talk about Tyjae Spears for a second. He's somebody we'll also talk about later. Spoiler. Just when you think you have the Tennessee Titans backfield figured out, you don't. Because on one week it's Tony Pollard with snaps. Next week it's Tyjae Spears, and it's Tony Pollard. Okay, well, let's not look at snaps. Let's look at rush share. 1 week it's Pollard, Spears, Pollard, Spears. Let's talk about targets. Well, then they're alternating back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Let's talk about attempts. Tony Pollard attempts, leads the running back core there. Talk about efficiency. Tyjae Spears is number one in rushing yards per carry, points per game over this past 3 period. Again, another name, Tony Pollard, in the discussion of potential trade conversation. I mean, there's a reason why we talk about Tyjae Spears a little bit later, but I definitely think that that's somebody that we should be paying attention to for one of the few bright spots here for Tennessee. But with that, all right, you guys want to talk some quarterbacks or what? That's open-ended to anybody who wants to talk about it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Just sorry, I didn't point out who we were going to be talking about. So let's get to the quarterback situation here. Jim, why don't you start us off? Who is a quarterback that you want to talk about that people should be picking up this week?
It's kind of keep an eye on Lamar, but if he doesn't play, just based on what he did, Snoop Huntley. One of the interesting things I think about this week is there's only 4 teams on a bye as opposed to 6 last week, but I think it's the same amount of good teams that are on a bye. So if you need a quarterback option, pick up the guy that has 92 yards rushing in 5 quarters, and then just see if he can get it to his weapons through the air at the same time.
No, I love that. One of the quarterbacks that I'm interested in, that it's shocking that he's still available on ESPN, on Sleeper, on Yahoo, below 50%, is Sam Darnold. The past 3 games played per PFF, he is the 3rd highest rated quarterback in the NFL. Think about that for a second. Past 3 games played, 3rd highest rated quarterback in the NFL. That is not something I would have thought that would ever be the case when when free agency hit back in March. That we would talk about Sam Darnold in the top 3 conversation in any good metric. But you go back to week
Mr. Consistent, if nothing else.
Right? Yeah, I mean, you go back to week 5, he had 28.6 points against Tampa Bay, 20 against Jacksonville, had a little bit of a down week versus Houston, but he was on the bye this past week, and then next week he's taking on the Commanders over the past 3 weeks in terms of quarterbacks faced have allowed an average of 19.6 points per game to the quarterback position, which if you look over the past 3 weeks, that would have had Sam Darnold, or that would have had a quarterback as a top 12 quarterback in fantasy. So you're looking at potential top 12 upside for Sam Darnold this week. Definitely somebody that I think you should be considering and picking up off of your waiver wire if you haven't already. Sharlene, who do you have as somebody that you want to talk about?
So I've got Mac Jones, and I don't
McCorkle Jones.
McCorkle. Excuse me.
Call
him by his given name, McCorkle Jones.
Thank you.
I don't know what's going on with Purdy. It's starting to sound unlikely that he's going to play in week 9. I mean, it's definitely something to keep an eye on because it seems like every week they're like, oh, he's getting closer. And then, well, no, not this week. So I think that Mac Jones is definitely somebody that we should be watching, and just throw this last game out the window. That I know somebody brought up Christian McCaffrey having a dud week, and honestly, that was the whole Niners team had a dud week. That was not Christian McCaffrey. That was not Mac Jones. That was just the whole team. They had their number. It was an off week. The Niners played 19 minutes of total offense. You're not getting anything going in 19 minutes of total offense.
That Houston defense is not respected enough.
No, they had them figured out. I mean, take notes. Or 19. Don't. Please don't. I don't want to watch that again.
Well, you don't have to worry about that as a 49ers fan or a Broncos fan anymore this season, so I think you're in the clear. As far as some deep league targets here at the quarterback position, some other news that I forgot to mention earlier. Carson Wentz, shoulder surgery on IR, done for the year. Wow, it'd be really a good time to roster, the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, who should be the quarterback going forward, which is J.J. McCarthy, rostered on Sleeper in only 23% of leagues. Some people are going to say, well, McCarthy sucks. I mean, he doesn't suck. Like, we don't know. Like, he had a great week 1 versus the Bears on Monday Night Football. Then Atlanta came to town, and Atlanta at the time was, good on defense. Obviously not after yesterday's game versus Miami. But, let's also think about the fact that the running game was suspect for the Vikings. Aaron Jones was dealing with some injuries then. They didn't have Jordan Addison, second game, and then he went out week 3. So now he has all his weapons. He has all the weapons here. He's back to being healthy. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt, and he could definitely pay dividends for you. And seeing as how the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings just went on IR, you probably want the one that they wanted to start anyhow. And then a deep one right here, Tyler Shuck, which I don't understand the pronunciation of the name the way it's spelled. Like, I think Shuck is perfectly fine. But they decided to go Shough to just throw people off. It's just Shog. That's what it's like. Okay, let me take a little tangent here. It's the biggest thing that gives me a pet peeve. People who spell Jeff with a G. It's Goff. Geoff. They're like, oh, that's Jeff. I'm like, that's not Jeff. Jeff is Jeff, not Geo.
That's like the old English way of spelling. Because because technically it's pronounced like Joffrey, which turned into Jeffrey, which.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No. I got you.
I got it, man. Jorge, I must disagree.
What? Come on.
We don't say George. We don't say George. Listen, my brother-in-law's name is Jeff, spelled with a G, and I am familiar.
You like your brother-in-law?
I do, very much.
Oh, well, so then that
I disagree on principle. Also, the pronunciation of your name as evidence.
My name is Spanish, although I did get once it confused for being Eastern European, where I was called Yorga, which that will always stick in my mind.
I was supposed to start calling you that.
I'm gonna.
Oh darn! How did I forget to remind you that was the case? But But anyhow, Tyler Shuck, going back to that, coming back off of that tangent, came on in relief after Spencer Rattler just looked, shock, breaking news, didn't look great. Speaking about consistently not looking great. But you have to wonder, whether Kellen Moore will make that change at the quarterback position. I mean, what do they got to lose? And you have, the number one, if not number two, most targeted wide receiver in all the NFL, and Chris Olave, who, kudos to those who decided to get Olave where they did in their fantasy drafts this past August. You may have gotten the steal at the wide receiver position, given the fact that he had been for the past few seasons dealing with injuries. Concussions, I think, were the big ones there. So yep. Tyler Shuck, and again in deep leagues, he's super flex, somebody that you definitely want to, if you have the bench depth, pick him up. Definitely couldn't hurt. Again, these are deep league dart throws here, both McCarthy and Shuck. McCarthy was a deep league dart throw when I put this in the show sheet this morning. He's definitely now more of a top ad than a deep league dart throw, given Carson Wentz. All right, so we talked about Snoop Huntley, we talked about Sam Darnold, Mac Jones, and let's just throw JJ in here as the top four. If there was anybody, Sharlene, that you would prioritize as the number one quarterback to go and get spend fab on or put a waiver claim in for, who would it be for you?
Oh, it's Sam Darnold. That's easy. I every single week I keep saying, go pick up Sam Darnold so we don't have to talk about him anymore. He should already be rostered in like 75% of leagues, at least over 50%, so we don't have to talk about him every single week. Go get Sam Darnold. Just do it.
It's not that hard. You just press the plus symbol on the sleeper app.
You just do it.
Yeah. Jim, would you agree with that?
Yes.
All right. Jim, if you had to pick the one who is the least, priority out of the four that we talked about, who would you say would be the one that you'd be like, I may want to see until next week if he's still available?
Out of the four that we talked about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I can't pick Kirk Cousins.
Yep. I mean, hey, you know what? You can talk about whatever the hell you want.
I just want to warn people. Like, you better just take the O. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna shout this out. I needed a quarterback in a 2 QB league because I didn't have a single one to start. I was a Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray team. I blew my last $25 on Snoop Huntley. So maybe you can throw in Dalton and Cousins and get lucky. But Mac Jones, I think, is the answer to your question.
Okay. As far as going on tangents, you are talking to the right person. So please don't, both of you on screen and those of you in the chat, you all, those who watch Shoot the Gap and watch the pregame show with myself and Nate, you know very well how quickly we can go off of tangents and talking about movie references. And Sharlene gets the movie references. We had an Ocean's 11 back and forth movie reference showdown before we went on air. So that was a lot of fun. All right, let's talk about some running backs here. Let's talk about Samaje Perine real quick here. Sharlene, what are your thoughts on Samaje Perine?
Samaje.
Is it really? Samaje? Stop it.
Are we doing
this? God damn it.
It's a soft J. It's like yogging.
Yogging. Love it.
Yeah, I think he's definitely somebody to keep an eye on too. Chase Brown, man. He's been a headache, and thank God for Joe Flacco. At least Chase Brown has come back a little bit, but now we've got Perine in the mix. Another, it's starting to look like another two-headed backfield, albeit not an even split. It's still Chase Brown's backfield, but Perine had 9 carries for 94 yards and a touchdown. So that's not nothing.
Right.
So.
Yeah, we definitely have been seeing him and the uptick in usage. We go back to yesterday in terms of rushing attempts. We had Chase Brown's 12 for 73, 6.1 yards per carry and a touchdown. Well, Perine, 9 for 94 and 10.4 yards per carry and a touchdown. So, it's good that Joe Flacco, Jim, to your point, as somebody who you've written about for the Waiver Wire article the past couple weeks. over at fantasyandframes.com and check that out tomorrow morning. Plug. He has brought some balance back to that Bengals offense. So yeah, he
Rising
is.
tide.
What's up?
Rising tide.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get to the next guy. Jim, who do you have to talk about? You got two guys you want to talk about in this segment. Who do you want to talk about?
One's going to be real quick because I want to save time for the second. We've touched on it a couple of times already. So Sean Tucker is somebody I would have brought up before his touchdown yesterday. Only 5% owned, and really, I think more because of what's going on with Bucky Irving, or what we don't know is going on with Bucky Irving. It really, that situation, and the rumors of a second injury. I know it's always tough to grab a guy going into the bye. More on that in the next player as well. But he got more carries. Rashad White has been injured every year. I think there's speaking of handcuffs, there's a reason to own a guy, and all that was an argument that I would have made before he went off yesterday. So I think he's somebody that I've started him in a couple of leagues anyway, but more a testament of my drafting ability or disability than handcuffing. But I think he should be owned just because of the Bucky Irving situation.
Okay.
And then the next player who is more owned. I'm sorry, unless anybody else had anything to say about Sean Tucker.
No. I mean, the goal line opportunity yesterday was very appealing, but I like where your head's at. I don't think a lot of people are talking about Bucky Irving in terms of like what is really going on. I think it's more like, oh, well, he'll come back next week, and then they push it back, and it's like, oh, we'll come back next week, and I think we need to start having the discussion. Patrick Mahomes with the interception, Bobby Wagner, go Wags, on Monday Night Football. No, that's a very good point. And I think that's really good, and especially good we're talking about it now, 5% owned. Yeah, this is the time of year where you really want to get ahead of the curve, and you really want to start thinking about, okay, where is the usage going to come from, and why is the usage going to be there? The why is probably the most important part. So I like where your head's at right there, Jim. Who else do you want to talk about?
Bam Knight. So I had mentioned him last week as well as somebody tough to own going into the bye, and looking at a real juicy matchup the other side against Dallas. Anybody who enjoyed RJ Harvey's performance yesterday should know what I'm talking about. And honestly, anybody not named Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt has enjoyed running success against that. Sorry, Jorge, it's true. You can go back and look it up.
I don't need to look it up. I know.
Double-digit fantasy points for any starting running back, and then a couple extra ones for the backups. The real gum in the works is what I'm sure everybody knows by now is why did Arizona release Michael Carter? And is Trey Benson coming back? Technically, he's eligible. I did a lot of research before this show to look and see. I called a couple people. There is no news that I could find, or at least before I sat down, as to Benson coming back. The team typically plays it pretty safe, so you wouldn't think they'd rush him even for a good matchup. I don't think they're necessarily playing it safe with Kyler, but they do. They don't rush people back from injury. Are they making room to bring somebody in? If they're making room to bring somebody in, is it a running back? I wanted to ask Jorge what he thought about any defensive players that asked for a trade today. Like, does that make sense?
From Arizona to go elsewhere, you mean?
Yeah, like from the Browns.
I'm sorry. So you mean like leaving to go to the Browns, or from?
No,
the Browns?
like does it make sense? Like, would a team cut a running back to make room for a defensive end?
No.
Okay.
No,
well,
yeah,
then there you go. So yeah, are they making room for Benson, or are they making room to bring somebody in like the quarterback from?
I don't know. So
let me wrap up real quick. The point is that Bam Knight has a great matchup this week, and I don't know if you care about him after this week, but if you need a home run this week or even a grand slam, Bam Knight is a perfect waiver ad. But because they let Michael Carter go,
right,
you need news tomorrow, or you might be blowing your wad on the backup.
Yes, no blowing of wads on backup running backs for the Cardinals. But speaking of backups for the Cardinals, Epic has a great question here. Do you think Arizona will ever play Brissett over Kyler after the bye? And
I hope so.
Well, yeah. So fantasy managers, especially the Marvin Harrison fantasy managers, are definitely hoping that is the case. But things would have to really go really bad before the Cardinals start to say, things are, let's not put Collier back. Let's not, risk further injury. He's still technically our franchise quarterback. How long that lasts, how many more years that lasts, that remains to be seen.
You don't think a snap to the face is pretty bad?
A snap to a football hitting you in the face is bad.
Did you not see that?
No,
he took a snap right to the helmet.
To the helmet.
Yeah.
That's what
Sorry,
that's
I didn't
what
mean to make that breaking news, but
no, that is breaking news because but isn't that the whole point of the helmet, to protect you from getting hit? Let alone a football.
No, I'm saying that they hiked the ball and it hit him in the face. He wasn't.
And they hit him in the face.
I think that's. I would rather have a quarterback that catches the ball so that he can throw it after that.
Oh, I see where you're going with that. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
totally
he was actually dazed after that happened.
See that?
I'm pretending to be dazed too. I wouldn't be walking around holding my head up.
But that's the whole point of the helmet. Anyhow, we're getting off track. If things start to see, this is why you want, again, thinking about the future of the Y's here for Bam Knight. If, and I stress if, they decide to let's just sit Kyler and put him out for the rest of the year and have Jacoby Brissett take over, who's looked really good since coming on in relief for Kyler Murray.
He's elevated that whole team.
Yeah. It makes you wonder whether or not that, if things continue to progress the way they are, that they'll have no choice but to use Bam Knight more in the receiving game, especially if Trey Benson, having a little bit of a 1-2 punch there for Arizona. So I think Epic, the jury is still out there, but it's hard to deny what Jacoby Brissett has brought to that offense so far. As far as running backs are concerned, I think we're circling around the one big one that we wish we didn't have to talk about, Jem. Let's talk about Tyrone Tracy.
He's here in a weird way, right? Because he was the starter and then lost his job to injury, and now he's going to get it back for injury. There's not been a lot of usage since he got hurt, but he was the guy when Scatterbo went out. So I don't think that this week's matchup is as good as Bam Knight's is, but long-term rest of the season, I think this is the guy to add.
Very nice. Sharlene, who's a running back that you want to talk about as far as people should be adding this week?
So I've got Tyjae Spears on here. I have had Tyjae Spears on here for the last couple weeks.
Take the hint, people.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I keep saying, just keep an eye on him. He's gonna start taking more and more work from Tony Pollard, and he's taking more and more work from Tony Pollard, and now he's got, he went nine rushes for 59 yards and a touchdown. So he is relevant in this offense. And he's definitely somebody worth adding at this point. I think we're at a point now where he's got a safe floor. I think you got to go get him.
No, you're absolutely right. And to what, we were talking about a little bit earlier. Yeah. Again, on the surface level, it's hard to kind of like parse out Pollard and Spears, but we're looking at, who's producing at the end of the day. That's what we all care about. Where are the points coming from? Who's getting us the points? Who's getting us the touchdowns? Who's getting us the efficiency? He's definitely somebody that should not be as widely available as he is. I think it's 43% on Sleeper. So yeah, definitely with you there. As far as some deep dart throws, let's throw that up here.
Jorge, can I say something real quick about?
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I think he should be added. I agree completely, but I will say that if you add him, when you add him, his schedule's a little rough for the next couple of weeks. I just wanted to point that out too.
No, that's a fair point.
Next 3 weeks in a bye, so just be wary of that.
But again, as we get closer to trade deadline, and again, the talk about Pollard potentially being somebody who's on the move. I mean, at this point, it's hard to separate what's real from what's not.
Yeah.
But the more you keep hearing it, the farther along you get into the season, the more, where there's smoke, there's fire, as they say. So definitely something to pay attention to there. And Tajay Spears, he looked good yesterday. I mean, obviously,
Get
he
him while
scored
he's
that
cheap.
touchdown. Exactly. Get that discount. Let's finish off talking about some deep target options here at the running back position. Sharlene, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about these Browns running backs. We got Dylan Sampson and Jerome Ford. What are your thoughts on Sampson and Ford, and where do you think each brings some value to the table here for the Browns and for fantasy managers?
I mean, this is absolutely just a keep an eye on Judkins and what's going on with that injury, because they've got a bye week this week. So it's highly likely, I think, that given the extra week of rest, we don't even need to be talking about these guys. Right. However, in the event that it does turn into something bigger,
right,
we've got to talk about Dylan Sampson, and unfortunately, we're still talking about Jerome Ford.
Right.
I keep trying to forget about him, and he just won't let me forget about him. So I've got both of these guys in here as somebody to keep an eye on. If Sampson's already taken, then Jerome Ford is worth a look, and vice versa. I feel like for fantasy, Jerome Ford seems to be the better play here, but in the real world, it would be Dylan Sampson. So do with that what you will.
So, are we talking just from the receiving upside that for example, like in a PPR league, like the Jerome Ford has shown that he is, with Judkins being in there, that he takes on some of the receiving work.
He still has value even with Judkins in. Whereas I feel like Sampson is less so. Sampson has more value with Judkins out, and I feel like Ford still has standalone value whether or not Judkins is there because of his role on that offense.
That makes a lot of sense. Next one down the list is Isaiah Davis, rostered in 7.9% of leagues on Sleeper. Yes, they're on a bye, but as mentioned earlier, he's starting to work his way up there in snaps. We're starting to see something of a split backfield turning into that for the New York Jets. So something to pay attention to. Again, Breece Hall, a lot of conversation about, trade candidate. Again, where there's smoke, there's fire, things to pay attention to. And especially if you are in a deep league like we're talking about for Ford and Sampson, Isaiah Davis is right there. We talked about Tank Bigsby earlier as being the handcuff and somebody that you should probably have now, regardless if it's a deep or shallow league, being the handcuff or, taking Saquon Barkley's manager's handcuff away from him. But then we have somebody who, he was a running back for Dable in Buffalo. He went to Houston for a year. He's been with the Giants for a couple of years. Why should people be paying attention to Devin Singletary, Shirley?
I mean, now that Scadabo's out, and Tyrone Tracy's back to being RB1, but I don't see Tracy running away with that RB run the way that Scadabo did. I think that there's still going to be some work there for Singletary. This is not a run out and go grab him situation. This is definitely like a let's see what the backfield split looks like. But I think that there's definitely going to be work for Singletary on this offense.
You got a couple comments here in the chat. So from Moggs, Keaton Mitchell in deep leagues. That's a very good suggestion. Derrick Henry, like mentioned earlier in the show, yesterday was his first top 10 finish in fantasy in half PPR since week 1. So definitely somebody to keep an eye on, especially if things, Lamar Jackson technically could have played. I think that was the latest practice report. He was running with the practice squad, but with them being where they are record-wise, it makes you wonder whether or not we're getting to the point where the Ravens can either turn things around or they start to shut things down. And if that's the case, Keaton Mitchell definitely has some appeal and value there. And then Epic Phil is saying Sampson is a good pickup. AC joint sprains can be re-injured. Last time I checked, when your job entails getting hit by really strong linebackers at really fast speeds, that's not good for the shoulder.
Yeah.
Jim, in terms of priority, out of all the running backs we talked about in this segment, Tyrone Tracy, number 1 at the top of the list for you?
Yeah.
What about you, Sharlene?
I would agree with that.
All right.
Do you want me to answer Epic Fails?
Yeah, go for it. Let me pull it up here on screen. 1 second. Yep.
So on the season, Knight has 7 targets. Demercado has 4. Knight didn't have any when Benson and oh my goodness, Benson
Carter.
No.
James Conner.
Thank you. I was going to say James Cook. I knew that wasn't it.
James Steve. James something. Yeah.
It's CRS. So Demercado did have a target when they were both playing. So in as the backups, I don't know if there's a way to know, but in the last for the last 3 weeks, Knight has out targeted Demercado.
There we go. No, seriously, folks, thank you very much for your comments and questions. Keep dropping them in the chat. We'll definitely love to hear from all of you and really appreciate you tuning in. Let's get to the waiver wire position at wide receiver. And let's pull up our first one here.
Why are they running in the red zone?
Let's talk about these wide receivers for the Houston Texans, right? So we got Xavier Hutchinson, who had a good game. Jaden Higgins, who had a good game yesterday. Jalen Noel, had the fewest amount of points out of the 3, but I'm actually really high on him out of all these 3. I know it's easy to look at this on the surface and say, well, this is a crapshoot. You don't know which one of these wide receivers you're going to be banking on from week to week. Jalen Noel, I think, has out of all the wide receivers here listed, he probably has more staying power at his current role as slot wide receiver than I would say a Hutchinson, being the Nico replacement yesterday. Nico Constable will be back. He's not going away. He'll be back. And then Hutchinson's role will kind of be devalued to a certain point. We have Kareem Hunt with a touchdown just now. So the Chiefs just took a 6-0 lead over the Commanders. Higgins, he had a great day, but it's one of those things where, it has been Jalen Noel who has been commanding the target share since coming off the bye. Looked really well. Still is getting targeted just as much as those other 2 wide receivers. He just didn't have the touchdown. You know what I mean? So you take that away. Christian Kirk's health has always been kind of questionable the past few seasons since he finished as a top 12 wide receiver, I want to say back in 22, 23. So it's we can let go of that season, years ago. So that's where I'm high on Jalen Noel. And then Troy Franklin, 33% rostered on Sleeper, back-to-back weeks, close to double-digit targets. Fantasy points have been there. I mean, Sharlene, as a Broncos fan, how excited are you for what you've been seeing with the Bo Nix, Troy Franklin connection, coming from Oregon now to the Denver Broncos?
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's great. You love to see it. It's nice having so many options for Bo Nix. I wish it was Cortland Sutton more often, but from a fantasy standpoint, it is very frustrating because it's kind of the same thing where you don't really know who's going to be the guy for that week.
Right.
But as long as there's a guy for that week, as a Broncos fan, I don't really care.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because that is the perfect segue to the next wide receiver we're going to be talking about when it comes to we don't know who's the guy that week. Tell the people why they should be using their fab or putting in a waiver claim for 12.6% rostered on Sleeper Christian Watson.
He's got the potential. I feel like there's more space on this offense. They've got Dobbs and Kraft.
All right.
And yeah, you've got Matthew Golden in the mix, but Love and Golden, they just don't seem to have that connection. For whatever reason. It's not there yet. And I think that Christian Watson definitely could be that guy. They need somebody else. And he did pretty good for his first game back. 4 receptions on 4 targets for 85 yards. I will take that. And I would like to just, every week I'm hoping to see that grow. I think that he definitely has the potential.
No, you're absolutely spot on. In that, Christian Watson, when healthy, that has always been the caveat for his career,
Right.
his young career is when healthy. He is a very good outside wide receiver. He's able to high point the ball well. He's able to bring it down for deep plays. He's one of those wide receivers so that whether you're in a non PPR, half or full PPR, he delivers because of the yardage. Like that's what you want, and then the touchdowns. The only issue has been the health. But definitely somebody, if healthy, you definitely should be rostering from the Green Bay Packers. As far as deep league targets here, Jalen Coker, Shamir DK, and Tyler Lockett. That one's new.
Yeah.
We didn't get Lockett on the graphic. That happened later in the day, so we have to forgive us. But Jim, let's start with you. Let's talk about Tyler Lockett here for a second.
Why?
Just depth. Okay, thank you. Let's talk about Tyler Lockett. Why do we have to? Do we have to? Is should I just say Tyler Lockett just signed with the Raiders and then move on? Or
yeah, I mean that's basically that. Honestly, that's the entire reason why he's even on this list. Is he is reuniting with Geno and Pete Carroll.
Yeah,
and there might be something there because I mean, is Brock Bowers coming back this week? I know he's supposed to come back after the bye, but I haven't really heard.
I have not heard the list. Yeah, I've not heard.
They're not talking about it. So, so if Brock Bowers comes back, great. So Geno's got Bowers, which he desperately needs, and he's got Trey Tucker.
Right.
So.
Yeah. He's a body.
He's a body.
He's a body.
We say that every week too. He's a body.
I
a lot of bodies out there.
I tried that argument with Andy Dalton last week, and I don't know.
Well, you were right. He was a body that was getting wrecked all over the field. So that is Moggs in the chat. Raiders are cooked though. Yeah, no, that's good.
I don't know if Angie's listening, but she started him in FF7s, and he put up a -11.
Oh my god. Wow. Okay. Yep.
Yep, he sure is a body.
Yeah.
I am. I will say this. I'll say this about Tyler. I am a firm believer in taking a shot on anybody if you have the room to see what happens. And it would be hypocritical of me to say that I didn't believe in the reunion narrative because I like narratives. But man, is Tyler Lockett old. And I think Pete Carroll is a big reason of why the Raiders aren't very good. And I think that it would have been better to get rid of Pete Carroll than sign Tyler Lockett. So I don't really care who they're adding or getting rid of, unless they're putting Brock Bowers on a good team or Ashton Jeanty on a good team. I really don't care what the Raiders are doing otherwise.
Moggs in the chat has a Dynasty comment. He says, does Lockett helps more for Tucker or Thornton in Dynasty? I think he has zero impact on either in Dynasty. I don't think you're going to see him come in there and his first week with the Raiders just light it up. And for redraft, sure, short spurts of performances could affect Tucker and Thornton's value, but for a Dynasty, like the guy is somebody who should be ranked in like the 50s in Dynasty wide receiver rankings, and I'm probably being generous to be honest with you. So I don't think that hurts and or helps either of these guys for Dynasty purposes.
Wait, so was he saying that it helps them, as in like he's somebody to distract and help them make bigger plays? Like,
oh, I see what you're saying.
Helps more. Yeah, I know.
Oh, I see what
words are hard.
Yeah, words are hard. Thank you.
They're hard.
Yeah. My wife's the reading specialist. I am not. So therefore reading is hard. Does he help some more for Tucker or Thornton and Dan?
Or maybe it's for, I don't know.
That's a great question. We're going to have to see snap usage to see who is getting their role reduced. And I think we'll find that out this week. And that'll kind of give you a better question in terms of snaps, which direction, which wide receivers go in there. I think it's too early to tell in that situation. let's see here. We got Titan Style. Welcome to the show. He says, how do we feel about Trey Benson and George Pickens' roles rest of season? I love Pickens. He is
Pickens
one thumb up.
Great rest of the season.
Yeah. Trey Benson, that's a tricky one, right? That's a tricky one. It's one of those things where if they're getting blown out, the Cardinals, that is, like, how are they going to use him? Is he going to be utilized as much? Jim, what are your thoughts on Trey Benson? Good to say rest of season.
Yeah, I think everything that was true about Trey Benson before the season is true now, which is he was going to, and we saw it with James Conner, where he had, he was splitting the work with him anyway, and everybody getting the job when James Conner went down. It's unfortunate that 3/4 of a game later he went down also, but there's no reason to think that that the team doesn't feel the same way about him they did before the season. They just let one of the guys that replaced him go. Demercado got benched, and I think we know what Bam Knight's capable of already. He's just a journeyman running back. He's not the guy. He's getting the job done. And outside of this matchup with Dallas, which Trey Benson might be back for, and if he is, who cares about the rest of the season? Get your 30 points now. Trey Benson's a fine ad, and somebody that probably everybody needs right now, the way that the positions return to earth.
He said he got a trade offer. He got offered Pickens and Swift for Ladd McConkey and Alvin Kamara. Guy said he might want to add Trey Benson to. Oh my God, let him send you Benson, Pickens, and Swift, and give up Ladd McConkey and an aging Alvin Kamara. That sounds like that sounds like a pretty smash accept right there, Sharlene. Or
you had me at giving away Kamara. the biggest headache I've had.
Love it. All right, let's get the tight end position, and then we'll do a little summary and keep checking in with Monday Night Football. Still a 7-0 game. A lot of Marcus Mariota running the ball around. Shocking. I don't know if that was. Did anybody see that one coming? I don't know. Let's get to the guy who caught the awesome touchdown from Breece Hall. Mason Taylor, 33% rostered. Jets on a bye week, but still, anybody bodies? Give me any receiving bodies here for the New York Jets at the tight position. Tight end, as you all know, is a big wasteland. But it was great to see Mason Taylor get that touchdown yesterday. As far as expectations are concerned, Garrett Wilson seems to be dealing with something that, whether or not he's missed a lot of games, or not, he's been dealing with an injury, and you always see like a questionable tag with him heading into a week. So it makes you wonder at a certain point what's going on with that. And then, of course, Mason Taylor would be the primary beneficiary there. Already the second target for the New York Jets. Juwan Johnson, this one kind of shocked me a little bit. 36% rostered on Sleeper. Look, if they go to Tyler Shuck, which we can get into the whole spelling of Shuck again, but I'll spare you too, and then the rest watching, because we already went down that rabbit hole already. But not happy with the spelling. You know what they say, young quarterback's best friend is the tight end, and we saw Juwan Johnson now in back-to-back weeks have double-digit fantasy points for fantasy managers. So he is definitely somebody that should be definitely rostered. I don't know about started every week, but definitely somebody who should be rostered in a majority of your leagues. And if he's not, definitely somebody you want to pick up. Who's another tight end that we should be talking about, Sharlene?
I would say the same thing about Theo Johnson. He definitely needs to be rostered. I said before that he was basically Jackson Dart's security blanket. And now with Daniel Bellinger injured, there's not really anybody to vulture those targets from Theo Johnson. And on top of that, now that Scadabo's done, I think that you're going to see Jackson Dart lean on Theo even more. So I think I would definitely run out and grab Theo Johnson right now.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think Wandale and Theo Johnson are going to be the primary beneficiaries with this Giants offense, potentially being one-dimensional. The jury's still out on Tyrone Tracy, but you're getting Tyrone Tracy. You're putting a high priority waiver claim or fab bid on him because the what ifs, right? That's what we always do with waiver wires. It's always like a what if scenario, but he's falling into a full-time role with the injury to Cam Scadaboo. Jim, Noah Fant. You write about Noah Fant. You talk about Noah Fant. I feel like he should be the guy you were hyping up all offseason, not Cole Kmet. But tell the people why you should be trying to get Noah Fant on your rosters this week, heading into week 9.
What did you say about tight ends a few minutes ago? About anybody you can grab or?
It's a tight end as a wasteland.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look, I don't think like
awesome way to start a recommendation. Oh, yeah.
He's not killing it every week, but he is consistent, and he has at least 4 targets every game this year, except for one that I actually don't know what happened against Detroit, but he's got 0 stats for the game. But 3 targets every game this year, at least 27 yards every game this year since Joe Flacco's been there. Those numbers have trended up slightly, so it's at least 6 points. If you're, it's a baseline, it's consistency, and with Flacco there, he's good for a touchdown every 1 to 3 weeks. It's not sexy, it's not awesome. It's not going to be top 12 every week, but it's probably not going to be a 0. So if you are in that type of situation where you've got nobody or, a bad matchup or injuries or buys or whatever it is, I think you can put a baseline in there and at least count on the floor and hope for a touchdown from a guy who has loved to throw to the tight end his entire, for 60 years, however long it's been. He's been throwing the ball. So, he's not there because he's not Bam Knight against Dallas, but he's somebody that can produce for you in a position every single week.
No, I love that. I'm sorry,
Sharlene. Yeah, I was just gonna say we didn't put him on the list, but I feel like AJ Barner should also be up here because he's kind of in that same boat. He's not going to give you a 0. In fact, he's actually doing really well this season. We talked about Sam Darnold and being Mr. Consistency. So, and I think AJ Barner's only 6% owned, so he definitely deserves a spot on this list.
And it's funny you mentioned that because Moggs put in the chat Elijah Arroyo, rookie tight end for the Seattle Seahawks. Also, if I had to, I'm with you, Sharlene. Barner should be the one you should be targeting right now as far as the tight ends in Seattle for redraft. We got Tootsie Pop 6 in the chat. Hello, friends. Hello to you. Welcome. Let's get into deep targets for leagues that are deep. Great talking, Jorge. Gunnar Helm, Tanner Connor. Jim, start us off with Gunnar Helm. Why are we caring about Gunnar Helm?
I was asked to say something I said yesterday about Gunnar Helm, which is I'm not surprised that he had a touchdown, not because I predicted it, but because screw all of you for thinking that Chig was going to be the guy this season.
Shame.
That's really it. For everybody else we've talked about in Tennessee, look, you need bodies. It doesn't we've all been wrong about that offense. I don't have any projections on Gunnar Helm other than an increase in snap shares and obviously what he did on Sunday. So it's definitely a deep add, but given that we've all been wrong so far, take a shot and see if he can, Gadsden it out the rest of the year. Probably not with the rest of that offense, but that's hit on Gunnar Helm.
Before we get to Tanner Connor, Terry McLaurin, first of all, Deebo Samuel to the corner, juggled it as he came out of bounds. Terry McLaurin just caught in the same location Deebo was at the ball, 2 feet down as he's maintaining possession, but the call on the field was incomplete. So I'm hoping that is not the case.
He's
and
got 2 feet down there.
He looks right. I mean, he has the ball.
Yeah,
he's got possession of it. He's bringing it to his body. He put 2 feet.
I'd say that was a catch.
I don't even know where they're coming from. Tanner Connor, Darren Waller, simply put on IR. We don't know if he's coming back, at what point he's coming back. We saw yesterday a resurgence in the Dolphins offense in their passing game. And Malik Washington, huge Malik Washington fan, coming out of Virginia. We saw him have success. It's one of those things, again, in deep leagues where you need a tight end body, not a corpse, but a body that could potentially be in an offense that could get you targets coming your way.
Not a rag doll.
Not a rag doll. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Not a rag doll. Exactly. Definitely somebody you should be paying attention to, especially in leagues where that are, tight ends are not only a wasteland, but are in short supply also. Moggs in the chat. You think the Ravens are sabotaging likely for a cheaper contract next year? I don't know. That's a great question. I would hope not. I would hope that the Ravens would want to maximize all their skill players to be competitive. Shocker. I would hope that the Baltimore Ravens, who have been in the playoffs and been dominating the NFL for the past few seasons, would want to keep staying good. But you never know the way this world works. It's always crazy what these front offices are trying to do. So that's going to wrap it up for our discussion as far as quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends for the waiver wire options for the week. For more waiver wire recommendations for both offense and for IDP, tune in fantasyandframes.com tomorrow morning. Check all that out. Definitely going to give you all the suggestions you need. And as far as other social media channels, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, we'll be posting all of our graphics there. Jim, when he's not being an on-air personality, when he's not being a writer, when he's not being a producer, he is doing a phenomenal job creating a lot of our graphics here at Fantasy and Frame. So give him a shout out there, folks. But before we get in here, let's head back to Monday Night Football and what they're saying here as the resulting play. I have it muted, so Sharlene, if you could, touchdown, Terry McLaurin. It was counted a touchdown. Yes, love it. Let's go, Washington. All right, let's before we wrap up the show though, let's talk about our waiver priority ad of the week. Each of us is just going to give you who is our favorite player that we're targeting on the waiver wire. I'll start with me, and I was talking about Jalen Noel earlier. He has the one I believe that has the most consistent path to being a relevant slot wide receiver for this Texans offense, with Christian Kirk's health issues always being the case. We've seen the target distribution go in his favor. We've seen the target share going in his favor. So just give me all the Jalen Noel. Sharlene, who's yours?
Well, I was going to say Sam Darnold, but I'm tired of sounding like a broken record, so I'm going to go with Theo Johnson.
Nice. And Jim, who's your priority ad of the week?
Bam Knight, unless if news doesn't come out tomorrow, it's Bam Knight, and that's only for this week. For the rest of the season, it's Tyrone Tracy.
Nice. We got Stacy in the chat. The toe drag, right? The toe drag.
Yep, that was money.
What did Nate Burleson call it? Toe drag swag back on Good Morning Football. I think that's still a thing, or maybe I'm just dating myself because that was 5-6 years ago. Anyhow, we don't have to talk about that. I'm not old. I swear I'm not. Anywho, that's going to wrap it up here for the Waiver Wire Watch Party for Week 9. Stacy and the crew will be at full strength next week. It's been a pleasure, though, talking and seeing a lot of familiar faces in the chat. It's been awesome talking to you, Jim. It's been awesome talking to you, Sharlene. Any parting words for the fantasy managers out there as they get ready to, head to the digital field of battle for Week 9? Sharlene, let's start with you.
Best of luck, and hopefully there's no injuries next week.
Yes, that would definitely be
a first week for the season.
It's funny. I feel like that should be like a top headline for sports for ESPN or some sports outlet. In breaking news in the NFL, no injuries.
No injuries. That would be fantastic.
Nice. Jim, what about you?
This is going to be the first time I've ever referenced my prior profession. One of the sayings and what I used to do is hope is not a viable course of action. There are going to be injuries next week. And because there are going to be injuries next week, roster your opponent's handcuffs.
That is very good. I have so many questions about that badass axe you have hanging on your wall, whether it's have you used it on somebody? But we're going to keep that for off-air discussion. We don't need to tell the people any of that information. So anyhow, for Jim, for Sharlene, I'm Jorge. Thank you very much for watching the Waiver Wire Watch Party for Week 9. Good luck this week. And again, head over to fantasyandframes.com. Check out our Waiver Wire articles for offense and IDP tomorrow morning. We'll see you next week.